Many people I speak to say something along the lines of, a challenging situation comes up, either in my work or in my relationships. Perhaps something goes wrong at work or someone says something to me in a way that I don't like, and boom, the mind suddenly goes into overdrive and it takes me over. I end up saying something that, on later reflection, was totally out of proportion, or I go into full on anxiety mode. And it can last for hours. Perhaps it's sometimes a few days before I fully shake it off. And I get it. We say things like, the mind and the emotions catch me off guard, completely overwhelm me, or take me over. And I get it. We're using relative terms here to describe what can undoubtedly seem a challenging experience sometimes, which is why I've used these terms in the past and why you might catch me saying something similar every so often. But notice how really these terms frame the whole thing and paints the picture that somehow the mind and the emotions are bigger than us and that they're a power stronger than us. It catches me. It takes me. It has me in its grip. You see? It places the power outside of you. And so long as we keep on believing this is true, we'll never fully escape it. Because let's take an honest, close look at reality. Would you agree that you are aware? And would you agree that everything that's appearing right now is appearing in this wide open space of awareness? Zoom out for a minute and see the full view. You are aware. You are this awareness in which everything appears. And so everything that you could ever experience appears in you, this open space of awareness. And would you agree that there are thoughts spontaneously arising within this space of awareness? And would you agree that there are feelings, which are physical sensations, spontaneously arising in this space of awareness? And is it your experience that there is a space around these thoughts and physical sensations? So how could any thought or feeling really take you over, overwhelm you, or catch you, considering they all appear within you? The fact is, as we're found out from our investigation, they can't. They appear within this open space of awareness that you are, and you're consenting to them. You're consenting to believing the thoughts, believing you're the I in the reactive thinking, and playing the character of the reactive speech and behavior. I like this word consenting because it changes the frame and puts the power back in our hands, even if that's just a relative metaphor. It gives us the power to say, no, I don't have to believe the story that my mind tells me when my emotions are triggered and I'm feeling all this discomfort in the body. I don't have to accept the invitation to enter that personal world where I believe I'm a limited person fighting against this situation or person. You can see clearly that you are this boundless space of awareness in which all of that appears, and you can say, no thought or story can take me over because I'm always bigger than them. No matter how intense they might get, they still appear within me, and I don't have to contract and focus down onto them. Sometimes I appear to lose myself in them for a moment because that's the momentum of a lifelong habit. But now more and more, I'm learning to turn down those invitations and instead feel what I'm feeling, feel the physical sensations in the body so that they can be brought to consciousness and subsequently released. Now, someone who's been digging down the non-duality and awakening rabbit hole might say something like, but who's the one consenting or not consenting? And I'd hope that this "there's no one here" notion is not just a gotcha, because otherwise you've kind of missed the point. However, let's honor this question and look even deeper. Who is indeed consenting or not consenting? It's a very good question that invites us to examine the nature of our most fundamental assumptions. Because, in the absolute sense, there really is no separate you who consents or doesn't consent. Ultimately, there's just this vast, boundless awareness in which all experience arises. Thoughts, sensations, and even situations, they all appear and dissolve within this field of open consciousness like waves on the ocean. And ultimately, the belief that you're a separate self who's trying to control the thoughts or can somehow be controlled by the thoughts is just another thought that appears in this awareness. You are this awareness itself, boundless, infinite, and all-pervasive. And from this perspective, there's no limited small you to be overwhelmed, no weak person to be taken over, and no separate self to consent or not consent. There's simply the spontaneous play of phenomena arising and passing away in the open space of being. So the invitation here is to recognize your true nature as awareness itself, and not the limited person in the story in your mind, and to stay with that recognition, even if you're triggered to fuck. But although it might seem paradoxical, we don't have to ignore the relative reality and the human experience or cease to function in the world. There can also be the recognition that in this awareness appears the momentum of all these limited thoughts and feelings. Many of us have years of suppressed emotions and traumas, and the recognition of our true nature as awareness is unlikely to put an end to them or make them magically disappear instantly. The reality is, until we have processed and released all the trapped emotional energy in the body, which nearly all of us have some form of, that energy is still going to be lurking in the background, getting triggered by various situations, and fueling all kinds of limited, negative, fearful, and unloving thinking. And for many, it will appear to be a challenge to not get taken over, because when it's triggered, it's so strong and uncomfortable. The universe has a way of showing you where you're still not free yet on the level of the body and the mind. So, to fully embody the peace of awakening, we also have to heal and release all this contracted energy, some of which may begin to naturally release as you simply rest as awareness and relax into your true nature. But there are also techniques and approaches that can work to accelerate the healing and releasing journey. And there is an approach that can be especially helpful in the moment of intense triggers, so you don't end up doing something you regret doing later, or just cause more problems and suffering for you and everyone else, so that you can respond consciously, calmly, and rationally. First, it can be extremely helpful to look at what's actually happening step by step. Would you agree that in the moment of an intense trigger, firstly, the situation happens, you receive a troubling message, or someone says or does something. Next, an intense or uncomfortable feeling, a physical sensation arises in the body. Then, a thought appears in the mind, perhaps, how could they do that? Or how could they say that? Or whatever else. And the attention contracts down onto that thinking, and you have yourself believing you're the one in the thoughts thinking those thoughts, saying that reactionary stuff back, ruminating on it, or even following impulses to act out reactive behavior. And the intensity and extremity of the thoughts is in tandem with the intensity of the physical feeling, the physical sensation. You're going about your day, more or less perceptually open. Trigger happens, sensations, thoughts, zooming and contracting down onto the thoughts and going down that rabbit hole until inevitably the emotional energy exhausts itself and the alluring thoughts calm down. You zoom perceptually out again, wake back up and think, what the hell happened? I did it again. So, the good news is we're going to reverse this process. Here's the approach. Start cultivating awareness of how your body feels at any given moment. Start becoming gradually more aware of the physical sensations, intensifying and de-intensifying throughout the day and moving throughout the body. Now, at the moment of the trigger, just simply notice the triggering of more intense physical sensations. And instead of focusing down onto thinking, instead of accepting that alluring invitation to believe your thoughts and to speak and do things from that level, stay perceptually zoomed out and continue to feel the sensations in the body fully, no matter how intense or uncomfortable they might seem. Underneath all the conceptual labels of intensity or discomfort, it's just a raw, physically felt sensation. See it objectively. Stay with it. Root your attention in it. This immediately takes your attention out of the mind and into the body. Takes your attention from being zoomed down onto thinking, at risk of believing it, to being zoomed out and instead being with what you're feeling and just feeling it. If it's particularly intense, you might want to remove yourself from the situation for a bit until you're fully calmed down. Because any thoughts that are on behalf of this intense emotional energy are likely to be limited, combative, or overreactive. And sometimes you just need to let the nervous system calm down for the truth and rationality to be seen again, right? Sometimes it is appropriate to say something or do something, even when the emotional energy, like anger or fear, is triggered. You might need to politely but sternly set a boundary or say a stern no to something. There is such a thing as healthy anger when you feel it and respond appropriately, perhaps strongly, but the difference is it's not personal and it doesn't stick. It rushes in, you respond, it drops out, and it's gone. You're more likely to respond like this appropriately when you've healed your stuck emotions and traumas as well. But either way, the more you stay with the physical sensation and allow yourself to impersonally feel it by noticing that you're the allowing space, the faster the emotional energy will drop out. The faster the thoughts will calm down, and the faster you'll come back to your senses and you'll be able to respond rationally. And over time, you'll be able to not react and instead respond appropriately, rationally, truthfully, lovingly. You won't destroy your relationships by reacting to triggers all the time until it eventually fractures. You'll be able to use the relationship to mutually heal your old wounds and negativity and relax into a deeper and deeper harmony and love. You won't contract into fear every time there's a challenge in your work and business, leaving you confused and procrastinating. You'll be able to stay more and more emotionally regulated as you intelligently respond to situations and learn the appropriate lessons. Absolutely, you already are this awareness that's beyond any reactivity. That's a character that appears within you. Relatively, there's a journey of healing and integrating so that you gradually release all the contractions and limitations. And there's a spiraling down into deeper resilience, groundedness, peace, and love. For one-on-one coaching inquiries, go to speaktoalex.com. Only for those serious about awakening and profound life transformation. See you in the next video. Peace.